our professional development series is industry and company research. Before we get into industry and company research, I want to ensure that everyone has been able to go in and take their assessment. Everyone has had time to review and read through their assessment. For those in the room, show of hands if anyone has not.
Almost finished the assessment, but they haven't given me a report yet. I have
Okay.
just one more to do.
Okay. Okay. And totally understand this with the registration scenario, and we'll chat a little bit after to bring that through. But this will make sense for you. I don't think you'll be that far behind. Anyone online? Okay, no raise hands. So if we think about it from this perspective, we now have gone through the assessment that has pulled our interests, our motivations, our passions, our skills, and we've got a list of probably 20 or 30 different career business-related industries to go into, right? So that's only one step in a major puzzle. We begin to think now about what companies have those industries. What are the differences in those companies and organizations? And start looking into ourselves and thinking a little bit about what type of organization do I want to be in? Small, medium, large. Where geographically? What type of culture fit? And what we'll see today is by peeling those onions back, we can literally work and get down using some pretty interesting, cool tools to a list of 10 to 15 companies that fit not only what we want to do professionally, but ourselves and who we are culturally. Sound interesting? Yep. All right. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I do want to go over a few housekeeping rules, which we'll do quickly. 2 success stories to share, and hopefully there'll be more. A quote, make things a little fun, and then we'll go through a quick review of career leaders and that assessment tool, some additional items within career leaders that you all have had access to get into that will help you based on your customized career assessment. We'll talk extensively about building company criteria, and then we'll have a Q&A. Housekeeping. I do appreciate those of you who did post a picture to your profiles in Blackboard. I'm just reminding and asking that you all do that again. It dramatically helps the connection with you all as students, dramatically helps the connection to me as instructor and matching name to the face. So you'd be surprised how much that makes a difference in interaction, especially when we're talking online and virtual. So let's try to do that. I noticed those of us that are logging in virtually today, they don't have their picture on the profile, and therefore either that or they're not logged in as themselves, and therefore their picture's not showing. So are there any questions around that? Concerns, issues, challenges? Okay. How many of you, show of hands, have already signed up for your eBear accounts and know what eBear is?
I don't know what that is.
One person has. 2. Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Tony, you mind explaining what eBear is and enlightening your classmates?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tony. Okay, eBear is basically like a site where you can find like jobs, like for internships, and like, if you know you want to work, like, and you put on your profile, like is a LinkedIn, is your LinkedIn is linked to your eBear, then your Facebook is linked to your eBear, then you can upload your resume, and you just upload your profile and make sure that your profile looks like interesting and all. So employers can go to your page, they can like look for you, and you can look for jobs that you are that you're qualified for and apply for them. That's just basically eBay. Yeah.
That is exactly correct. And the link, I'll have it up in one quick second. I'm just working on making sure we get our visuals here. To set it up, I'll provide for you shortly. And the reason that that is important is you'll get reminders and heads up with regards to opportunities that are new on eBear. Now, I'll be very open and honest that most of the opportunities on eBear are more geared towards the undergrad students, and you all are master's level students. Still want to go ahead and set it up because you never know. Now, next month, we'll be launching Handshake, which will be a tool dedicated for master's level opportunities. You all should have both of them. So for those of you all who have not set up an eBear account, you definitely want to do that. By not setting the account up, you're not leveraging your dollars, money, time, and effort, because you're certainly paying for it. Why not use it? Make sense? Okay.
Yep.
Was that, are you all on virtually and here? Is that what's going on?
No, no.
Was that someone?
Fletcher, I can hear you.
Excellent technology. It's working in front of you. Yes, round of. Okay, hold on 1 second. Was there a question that you had, or were you just acknowledging?
Sir?
Did you have a specific question?
No, I wanted to ask, are we meant to be able to see you? Because I can't see you.
Okay, you should be able to see me because I've just. That is very interesting. Right. Hold on, going back to. Okay. What about now? Are you able to see me now?
No. Well, it's fine. I can hear you clearly, so let's not hold everybody back.
I will be certain to have them address this, because you should certainly be able to see me. Yes. We'll jump right back into things. All right, and here we go. We talked through eBear, we talked through pictures. We are on March 1st. Well, we've been invited as the Grave School of Business Master's Programs to the Maryland State Capitol. The Department of Legislative Services will be hosting us for a day. Students and faculty will be allowed to sit in on sessions. The executive director of the Department of Legislative Services will be speaking with us. Morgan State alumni who work at the Capitol will be holding a panel discussion with us. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 4:30, and that is a Wednesday. So for those of you who do not have obligations and are interested, please sign up. You all will have gotten an email from Ms. Tarashan earlier today. It's the flyer and the link to register. There's a flyer posted outside of our office, room 435, with a QR code. As a matter of fact, here's a copy of the flyer right here. I'm posed onto the image, or the slide here. Did not get the email?
No.
Okay. Did anybody else not get the email? Okay.
I didn't get it.
Wow. All right. Do me a favor and, can you just pass a list around for the individuals that were not? Just list the name, your student ID, and we'll make sure we get you. And it would be your Morgan. As we stated before during orientation, everything only goes to Morgan, so everyone is checking their Morgan and hasn't gotten it? Okay. If there's anybody logging in virtually that has not gotten that email, again, it went out this morning, feel free to shoot an email over to me, again, with just name, student ID stating you didn't receive the email. That's important, even if you're not interested specifically in signing up for this. Ms. Tershan does send out quite a few important emails to the entire master student population. So if you didn't get it today, that means you're not on her list for some reason, and we want to make sure we have you on there. Next thing you might miss could potentially be that dream job opportunity. Any questions around the visit to Annapolis and the Maryland State Capitol on March 1st? Yes.
Okay, like, I guess pay for it. Is it fully funded?
So there's no cost to students. It's free to sign up. I'm pretty sure they're going to be hosting a lunch for us, which again is free. What the only complication potentially might be is transportation there. So when you register, there's a question that'll ask you, do you have transportation? If you have transportation, are you willing to, carpool with others? Or no, do you not have transportation? So based on that feedback, we've reached out to some transportation companies to get a feel for cost and what have you. So once we know more of who wants to attend and how many that's going to be, then we'll be able to make that assessment. If we need to, we'll figure out how to get everybody down there. Again, the deadline to register is the 22nd, so roughly about 12 days. I would ask that everyone who's serious about going, please register as soon as possible. Let's not wait until the 22nd. Other questions?
Okay, is this page on our Blackboard?
It is not, but I can post it on there. Can you mind writing a reminder note for me to make sure I post this?
All right. Anybody else?
Okay. Now, you all, for those of you who are interested in finance, please raise your hands. Okay. GlaxoSmithKline, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, pharmaceutical company, and today is actually the deadline, so I know that's a lot of lead time, is having a finance rotation internship program. So the link is here, and what I would suggest, there's 2 of you here who are interested, unless I miscounted. Okay, if you are logging in and you're interested, let me know via email, and I'll make sure I forward the link to you. Again, it's right here, but I know that it is kind of cumbersome and long. And we also want to make sure you get right to it considering the time deadline. One of the things that they're looking for, I'll be very open and honest, is they're looking for individuals who are interested in finance but have a healthcare background. So if you have done something prior to coming within healthcare and you are studying finance and or have studied finance in the past, you're really hitting the sweet spot as to what they're looking for. Is everyone familiar with what a rotation program is? No one? Okay. Rotation program is when you come in and you're not specifically in a finance department. You may be in reporting, then you may roll over to tax or analysis. You may roll over to different areas within a summer or maybe within a 1 to 2 year period. And what happens is companies see you all as MBAs or master's students, and they say, we're going to bring you into this program and fast track. We see you as someone who's going to be director level and above in the organization. So we will expose you to all the different aspects within our finance group. So as you become a leader, you're thinking from the perspective of all of those groups not just the one group that you started in or the two groups that you worked in. We're going to give you an entree into everything within finance in the company, so you know how all those pieces fit. Does that work?
Yeah.
Any questions? Excellent. The last opportunity that has come up, and again, this was sent out via email by Ms. Andy this morning as well, CEVA Logistics. They're looking for an import-export specialist. This is a company in Odenton, Maryland, that's roughly about 25, 30 minutes from here without traffic. Thanks so much. And for those of us in the program, it's not only for, but they are actually seeking individuals of a Saudi background. So if you guys have classmates or the friends in the program who may not be a part of this series, certainly let them know that, remind them to check their emails. Again, it went out program-wide to the student body, but I certainly wanted to talk with you all about it, make sure you guys did not have questions. Again, if it's of interest to you, you do not have to be a Saudi background, but I'm going to be upfront about that. Okay, as we have gone through the housekeeping, success stories, there are two. Aninka Komalate is now the contracts administrator at the Maryland Aviation Administration, and I think we should give them a congratulations. You all may know him, and if I was able to get that 25th, 26th hour out of the day, I probably would have thrown in a picture. But he has been active in our discussion board in the group, so he has actually been in the program and graduated as an MS in project management student, and he's now in our MBA program. So definitely you can see fruits of labor in that step. And there may be more success stories to share. If there's success stories that I'm not aware of, please let me know. The other that I'm aware of is actually Chinedu Okeke, who just this week was invited to the AECOM project-based learning. And if there were any others that were, please again, let me know. I think we should give them a round of applause and congratulations. Any other success stories? Virtually are in the room. More to come. So one thing you all get to know about me is I'm a huge fan of 90s hip hop. So to be a little more jovial, I've decided I'm going to bring a quote from 90s hip hop into each of our sessions. And today's quote is, "Many are called, but the chosen are few." This is actually from a song called "Is It Good to You" by Heavy D in 1991. Most of you might not even have been born. But the point is, as we begin to talk about the importance of knowing the industry and knowing the research, these are the key things that separate the many who are called into the interview, or the many resumes that are reviewed, versus the few who are chosen, those that get offers. Does everyone see the link between my quote and our subject matter today?
Yep.
Thank you. Excellent. Maybe I should next time bring the song and then play a little bit of it. So, for those of you all who were part of last week's session, this slide should look somewhat familiar, or at least the way that it is designed. We went through last week's assessment and determined what those key areas meant and made sure we knew how to read and understand the report so we could decipher the career tracks and the other information and results. There's other data and information that I want to highlight with everyone today. If you go into the My Reports area and you take a look at planning my strategy, there's actually in-depth information within the report that will help you as we are moving forward. I'm not gonna go through that specific planning my strategy in detail. More than willing to discuss it with each and every one of you as you all have questions while we're in class. If you want to bring up different aspects, more than willing. But I'm bringing this up to let you all know where there's information and data that would be important for you all to know. Questions, concerns, criticism? Has anyone gone to this part of the report already and taken a look at it? Man. Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to share what you discovered or what you learned or what was good or an opportunity of the section?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I read. This page just looks familiar.
Well, I'm sure by next week, there'll be several of you who will take the time to go through the planning my strategy. All right? Excellent. As this gets broken down, and I realize this may be a little bit of an eyesore of a chart, but under the planning my strategy, there is learning about different industries, choosing my industry, the right job with the right organization. These are areas that will take you through learning and deciphering the right things to think about, the right questions to ask. What's an average day like, hour by hour? What's an average week like? What people succeed and enjoy working in this role and in this industry. It is very possible to be smart, be ambitious, but not be successful based on being in the wrong environment or doing the, I don't want to say wrong thing, but doing something that's not your natural fit. So, by asking yourself these questions, by leveraging this report, and by thinking about these things, you're saving yourself time on the back end. You don't want to be, as we talked about last week, the alum that's been out of the program for 10 years, and then all of a sudden you realize I really didn't want to be an accountant after you put time, blood, sweat, and energy into it. Other questions to think through. What people might succeed in the role. What people are drawn to work, thinking they succeed and their happiness extremely important as we've discussed. Are there any questions around how this is vital and important information and how to access it for the report? Okay, silence is golden. You can also, as I said, go into choose my industry. Now we're really getting into the beginning of the nitty-gritty of today. If you say you want to be in finance, you've got to understand what finance is and what finance means. You've got to understand the nuances and the difference between angel investing, capital markets, hedge funds, financial reporting, investment banking, commercial banking. If you don't, then you're not serious about wanting to go into finance. Does that make sense for everyone? It's okay if you're sitting there now and you want to go into marketing and you don't understand the difference between consumer insights and market research, or the difference between sales and business development and brand management. But I'm telling you now, if that's who you are, you want to know that, and you want to know those things right now. So if you don't know them, you should be making notes, you should be looking them up. So Michael, actually, you'd be a bad example because you've already said that you want to be in finance. Anybody want to volunteer what their report as far as career assessment said that they should go into? Shall we cold call? Talked about this last week. Oh, is someone? Go ahead. Someone's speaking over the. We can hear you. Okay. Michael, what did your assessment come back as?
Coaching and mentoring.
No. Professionally, what career?
Career.
Yes. So it would have probably said financial reporting, investment banking. It would have been a functional industry.
Not sure about that.
Mr. Fletcher, can you hear me?
Okay.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, my career match you're talking about
Yeah.
from the report. Yeah, so I have non-profit management, which is higher education, government, and human.
You want to?
It was what else?
I have finance and corporate settings. I have accounting.
Okay.
I have training and organizational development.
What were the top two? The ones at the top of the list that probably
Finance and corporate settings.
finance and
Corporate setting.
corporate
Setting.
corporate setting
Mm.
And non-profit management.
Yeah, that's what I said.
and nonprofit. Okay. So let's go with nonprofit management. Is that something that you are interested in, or was that a surprise to you based on the assessment?
Well, if it comes to my ambition to want to play a role in education, I think that is not a surprise.
Play a role in what?
Education, higher education.
Okay. And very true. Most universities and higher education are nonprofit organizations. Which role do you want to play?
I would like to be. I would like to.
Gonna teach?
I'm not sure if it's.
I think he wants to be a lecturer.
I think it wants to be a professor.
Is that true? Do you want to lecture? Do you want to be a professor?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so I'll make this point. I'm not saying. I think the best professors are the ones who have walked in the shoes of their students.
Mm-hmm.
So you may want to teach nonprofit management. And you could teach nonprofit management without having done it, but you would be that much of a better professor and, in my humble opinion, have a more vast network to aid and help your program and your students if you spent some time in nonprofit management. So the exercise here, as we get into choose my industry, is you want to understand the different nuances within nonprofit management. Nonprofit management, that could be operations, that could be finance. What are the accounting differences between nonprofit organizations and for-profit organizations? At the end of the day, actually, I'll ask, is there anyone else interested in nonprofit? Okay. So Minx, tell us your thought and perception around the differences between for-profit and nonprofit from a dollars and cents perspective.
Well, in my opinion, if you work in the nonprofit industry, I think it's more about service. I think it's more about sacrifice.
Okay.
And it's really about purpose. And I think that you really cannot be expecting a monetary value out of it as much as feeling that you're making a difference. Because in the for-profit sector, I think it's all about, of course, making a profit. It's all about course, trying to,
Grow.
grow, that's a good one.
Shareholder value. Yep.
So I think it's, to answer your question, I think that the difference is, the servitude and the sacrifice on the one end and the profit on the other end.
Okay, and you are correct in that nonprofits are mission driven.
Yes.
So the first thing that you're going to be assessed going through that type of interview is, do you genuinely buy into the mission and are you passionate about that particular cause?
Right.
Where I think a lot of individuals make a mistake with nonprofits is they begin to make assumptions that nonprofits don't have dollars and cents, that they don't have revenue. The only difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit is the nonprofit has to spend everything at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, or what have you.
You can't have a surplus.
Exactly. Now, again, the for-profits want a surplus so they can go out and whether that's acquiring other things or buy back stock dividends, it's a different game, but just because there's a nonprofit does not mean that they don't have the dollars and cents to pay you what you're worth. Now, again, they're mission driven, so the discussion is not how much you're going to pay me when you walk in, but I don't want anyone to have the fallacy that, oh, they can't because they're a nonprofit. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Very good. All of that to go through and say, looking at the industry research tab in career leaders and going under choose my industry, you're going to get valuable information customized to you based on your report. Is everybody clear on that?
Yeah.
Has anybody taken a look here at this part of their specific career assessment? Okay, let me be clear that the expectation is that you all do that. So just because you went through, you answered the questions, and you looked at the one page, don't take this PDF and file it somewhere and forget where it's filed or throw this assessment away. This is something that you will constantly be going back and looking at. And take the time to leverage this information. This saves you from being pulled in different directions, and we'll be talking about focus shortly. Any questions? Okay. Again, if you're not 100% clear on some of those areas where your assessment came out, the detailed information here. Even if you believe that you know exactly what those are, I strongly advocate jump in and read some of this. As I said earlier, you might have no idea how advertising fits in to marketing. Going through this step, you'll know that. And that's essential information if these are the careers that have come out on top for you. Again, take the time to go through this. A little bit of wisdom. You are the pilot of your careers, not the passenger. I'm very passionate about professional development and career readiness because I've been fortunate and I've had some great people in my life who have helped me understand the things that I'm trying to share and expose you all to. And it's helped me learn and be exposed to a very high level. And that's something that all of you in the room and online deserve. But it's not me who's doing this for you. It's not me who's telling you what it should be. It's not this career assessment. It's you all who are driving this thing. The assessment's a tool to help you get to where you want to go. I'm a resource to help you get to where you want to go. This entire building, this university, are a resource to help you get to where you want to go. But you all are in master's programs, so you guys have to drive it and figure that out. Once you know it, then you're on track and you can start driving and pushing. You can keep all your options open. Or excuse me, you can't. And there's a reason for that. It's gonna happen to everybody in this room. You're gonna get more familiar with your career assessment. You're gonna get laser focused on finance, Michael. And then all of a sudden, you're gonna see an opportunity for an accounting role. And you're gonna think, oh, they're kind of the same, and I can kind of get some good experience there. And this thing that I want in finance is, it's just not coming. I'm gonna just go ahead and spend some time working on accounting. See about this opportunity. And then the next thing you know, you're putting time and energy into studying that, and you're following those blogs, and you're spending time in an area different than what's in your interest, mind, skills, and passions. It's better to be focused and to create the opportunities for yourself than to spread yourself into all the other areas and it becomes happenstance. Get your mission clear before thinking strategy. As I said last week, there's a reason that the assessment was the first thing that we did. I didn't want anybody to be anchored in anything else. I didn't want to spend time getting into a lot of having you all come together and talk about what this one and the other one wanted to do. That's why we didn't have a class first before. I wanted everyone to come to class with the assessment because I didn't want someone to think, oh, so-and-so said something really cool. That sounds fun. I think I want to do that. No. I want you all to be naturally who you are. And then the assessment puts you on the start to guide your way. Again, that's the mission part. Now we can begin to work through strategy. Any questions? Question, Michael?
I'm going over the top 3 things in my
Okay.
assessment. And finance is actually third on the list.
Okay.
And first is retail management and accounting, then finance.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Extremely interesting.
Retail.
So if you had to articulate the differences between retail management, between accounting and finance, do you feel that you'd be able to do it?
But finance.
Explain the
retail
difference
management.
between those 3.
Retail management basically sales, selling. In short.
Yeah, to a degree. There's also an operation side to it, but I'll let you.
There's logistical side, but I think the overall aspect of it is to make that sale.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Like basically, accounting is more like reporting, information, gathering the information, making sure certain people receive those who need those information, use of accounting information. And investment purpose, whoever managerial purpose is something. And finance in corporate setting, I think it has to do both more like the managerial aspect of the accounting side. Yes, because accounting has both managerial accounting and then financial.
Okay. I will. That's it. That's so. Specifically between the accounting and the finance piece, I like the way you articulated that. So accounting, I like to describe it as the language of business.
Yeah.
Accounting is almost, this is the way we talk. This is our language. So, whether we're talking, English, Spanish, whatever, if you understand language of business, you'll be able to pick up a balance sheet, an income statement, and know what those numbers mean and how they correlate.
Yeah.
No matter what type of business you're talking about. And the accountants make sure that all the numbers and the figures go in the right columns and everything is interpreted correctly.
Yeah.
And there is a management to that, don't get me wrong. But the finance part is when you're more looking at the numbers and using it as this is how we're going to make decisions. I'm going to buy company X, not company Y, because, or we are going to forecast projections, and we've used this historical data to help us figure out with reasonable probability what we think is going to happen in the future. That's finance. So a lot of times individuals think or don't think that in depth about it, and then they get tired of certain rudimentary aspects and, oh, now I want to be more creative, I want to do something different, and parlay over. But that was actually a good decipher scenario. And now you have to be the one to really figure out how accurate is it. You came in thinking, hey, I'm finance all the way around, but that's number 3. Maybe you're a business development salesperson and you don't know it.
I actually like to sell it though.
You said you do or you don't?
I actually like it.
Okay, so it's not that big of a surprise to you.
No, it's not.
Well, there are a lot of people who like selling and are also good with finance numbers that make a heck of a lot of money too. Called investment bankers.
I can do that.
Oh, I can see. Oh, we'll keep talking. This is interesting.
Yeah,
Michael. Thanks for sharing. The shotgun strategy doesn't work. You need a focus, and hopefully you'll take a lot more from our time together today than this, just this. But if you only take one thing, it's that you have to have a focus, because the opportunities that you all want, and the opportunities that you all deserve, much is given, much is expected. So you have to know those nuances inside and out. You have to know those companies. You have to know the challenges. You have to know their competitors. You have to know what's happening in the industry. I remember walking into interviews and it was, how's our stock price doing? Whoa, wait a minute. I didn't know I needed to know that. Yeah, you need to know that. You need to know if they're publicly traded or not. You need to take a look through their 10K. You need to take a look through the annual report at a minimum and read what's their strategic vision. Even if you have 30 minutes before the interview, if you look through all of the annual reports, CEO starts with strategy and so on and so forth. If you know what you're looking for, you can get 1 to 2, if not 3 points out of that. So when you're in that interview and they're asking, do you have any questions? You can talk about how are some of these strategies being implemented. If they ask you, why are you here? You can talk about, I'm very interested in the strategy and where you're going. Here's why. Here's what I've done, here's what I've studied, and this is how it fits into your company, your mission, your angle, your strategy. This is why I want to be here. Does that make sense to everyone? So again, those are the things that when you walk in, you need to know. And we're just beginning to talk about industry and company research, but I think a lot of times individuals don't understand what they need to know and where to get that information. So the things that I just talked about, 10Ks, annual reports, does everyone know where to get that information from? Yeah, absolutely. As long as the company's public, sure. And I would strongly suggest, this would even be of a help to me, someone take a walk over, or some group take a walk over to the library and get an understanding of what type of tools and research do you all have. Because you all may have access to a Hoover's Premier. You guys might have access to certain data and information that'll even give you insight onto public companies, because it's out there, it costs, but maybe as a university we have access to it. And if so, you'd be helping yourself and your classmates. Does that make sense? Okay. You're only a brand new MBA once. And this is important. Those of you all, and we'll switch MBA to masters because we realize that some of you are pursuing different masters, but this is your shot to spin, this is your shot to pivot, this is your chance. This is where you can recreate yourself professionally if you so choose to be prepared. So again, know what you want, make sure of it, start implementing and planning your strategy. Sounds simple, but not as simple as it sounds. Everybody starting to see that? Employers want people who want them and can tell them why. We just talked about that. Most interviewers think it's about them. And I'll give you all the blunt, honest truth. It's not about you all. It is about that company. That company is looking for someone that can come in and add value quick. Will they train you? Yes. Will they develop you? Yes. But they're going to make sure that they're training and developing the person that's going to be the most advantageous in taking advantage of those development opportunities and most quickly assessing that knowledge and going to do something with it. And going to do something with it that's going to drive sales, shareholder value, growth, cost savings within that company. So again, you all have to really be in the right place and at the right industry, because that takes a lot of energy. And you all have to be doing something that you enjoy. The hope is you all will never work a day in your all's lives. Those that get to that utopia are the ones that take advantage of their pivot times like now, and that truly get introspective about what they really want to do, honest with themselves, take full advantage of these career readiness and professional development opportunities, and go for it. So the ones that actually did dig deeper into the career assessment and read some of these parts, I'm not asking who you are, but you all are the ones that are taking already those steps. And those of you all that haven't, hopefully, message, light bulb just went on. Any questions? Okay. And I know we're just over one, so I will quickly move through, because I realize several will have to fall off. If you do, that is absolutely fine. Hopefully you all can stay with us for a little bit. With regards to bringing discipline to the dream, we talked a little bit about this. Differentiating your fantasies from your dream. I'll bring up discussion boards. I replied to quite a few just before our session today. And I think several individuals in the series have a very broad general thought. There were some, oh, I want to be a consultant. You know, I want to be in management. And those things probably sounded really good going in to get your bachelor's and undergrad degrees. While you were in undergrad, you're okay. Well, now when you're in a master's program, you got to be more focused. If you want to be an entrepreneur and open a consultancy, what type of consultancy? Are you going to go after Bain and McKinsey? And if so, what sectors are you going to go after? And why? What background do you have in that? Where's your credibility coming from? Have you built your network and worked in those areas? Do you have Michael, the guy that likes sales on your team, that can go and convince clients you should be the one to come in and solve this problem for them? Have you thought through your business plan? Do you know how to write a business plan? So the point becomes, it's fine to think through those levels. It's fine to be that ambitious. But now it's time to differentiate fantasies from your dreams. If you really want to have that consultancy, and you heard me just make the statements that I did, and you don't have one of those things that I inquired about, there should be a nervousness inside you right now, but that should be a positive, and you should be burning with desire for this model to be over so you can start figuring out what those things were that you didn't have. And if you don't have that feeling, you don't want to start a consultancy. You want to do something else. That make sense?
Yeah.
And again, I was using an example of the consultancy. There were other comments I made through the discussion boards, but I want to make sure that everybody, when you're writing and when you're talking, when you're thinking, and thank you, we're doing the high and low journals and that sort of thing. And I know that's kind of not specific to professional, but when you're writing about what you want to do professionally, make sure you're not talking and blowing smoke to yourself. If you're speaking about it, then going about being that expert, building that knowledge, pushing yourself, because again, you all are the pilots. The dream as doing, no title. So in other words, don't get caught up, especially early on, in title. There are a lot of other aspects and levels to decisions that you're going to have to make. Some could be monetary, some could be around prestige of companies. There are companies out there that if they're on your resume, you can pretty much go anywhere you want to after you work there. Those are smart companies, so they're probably not going to pay as much, but they're investing in the training and the development. They're investing in the clients where you're going to go in and get exposure to things. So there's trade-offs, and you have to think through all of those things before you say yay or nay. Where can you do what you dream of doing? And this is vital. As I talked about earlier, if you want to go out and be the consultant, that's great. But you have a lot more credibility when you can talk about, I've worked in this industry for X number of years. You have a lot more credibility when your client comes to you and says, I don't know how to get this thing done, even though I've been doing this for 15 years and in this industry for 15 years. But you can step out of the room and make a phone call to an old colleague or old business school buddy and get access to the person or the link that has that type of information. That's what they're paying you for. So be prepared to do it. You're going to do it. Many are called, but few are chosen. What price are you willing to pay? That's exactly what I'm talking about. And there are a lot of people, everyone in this room has to be extremely tenacious. Many of you have come overseas in countries to be here and sit into this room. So no one would doubt your tenacity. But think about it. Make sure you're paying the price for the things that are going to net you what you want. Sometimes you're really pushing and sacrificing and not thinking through, is this really where I need to make my sacrifice? Or is this really where I need to drive and put my energy? And if, again, you don't know professionally what you're trying to do or where you want to go, you're not leveraging your time the best while you're here. And again, how can you get there? That's a lot of what we're going to be talking about as we move through the strategy piece, but those are key questions that we all need to be thinking through. So I will quickly take us through a tool. This is actually Hoover's Premiere. I'm going to send out a link to each of you, which you will have no later than tomorrow afternoon. By Wednesday, or it might be Tuesday morning, I want to make sure that everybody goes through and answers. Essentially, the link you're going to get is to a survey, and it's going to have drop downs and questions much like these. And I apologize, it's small, but it will ask company location. So I want to know from each of you all, along your company criteria, where are you willing to work? And you can prioritize it. Some of you might say, you know what, love Baltimore, not leaving Baltimore, can't keep me out of Baltimore, no matter what. But in Baltimore, that's fine. Some of you might say, want to go home. Some of you might say, I'll do Dallas, I'll do LA, or I'll do Johannesburg in London. And if that's your list, then that's what I want to know. That clear? Company information. That was a little bit more tricky. That's going to get into more of functions. So this is where you go back to your career assessment. And you say, I want to do accounting, or I want to do retail management, or I want to do consulting. Because the way that these tools work, each of those industries have a code number. And in the next slide, I'll show you where I'll be going to get the code number. And when I put in the code number, it says, ooh, here are the companies that have roles and do things within that space. And then I overlay that with, you don't want to go anywhere but Baltimore. So now we know, in Baltimore, these are the places that fit what you're looking to do. As you all go through this assessment, we're going to be talking location. We're going to be talking about private versus public companies. We're going to be talking about size of companies. Some people love the small and agile. Walk in, we need to go in a different direction, moving a dime, it happens. $50 million company and under, you can probably do that, especially when you're have the right title and the right influence. But heck, there's CEOs out there that can't make organizations like an Amazon turn on a dime. And those are totally different challenges. And you have to know yourself well enough to know which one makes you tick. Do you have the patience? And can you step back and look long-term at the vision and understand and be comfortable and prefer that as a long-term strategy? Or you need to be right in, moving and shaking. There's no right or wrong answer here. This is about what are you about? So again, you guys are going to get the survey. I'll be looking for those responses. If you guys have questions, email me, let me know. I want to make sure it's clear. But if you take a look at this, I'm highlighting and circling close to 85 million. That's how many companies are in this database. And essentially that's every company out there. So remember, we talked about being focused, right? That's a lot of companies. But if we went in and we just broke out, I want to be in Baltimore, New York, or Saudi Arabia, we went from 85 million down to 1.2. Now we're getting somewhere. And those were just factors of location. Now we go again to our career assessment and we figure out, hey, what are the codes for those things that I really want to do? We enter those codes in, and let's say financial investment activities. Here's the actual code. We now go from 1.2 million down to 13,000. Still a lot, still a lot, but we're getting somewhere. From 13,000, we now start talking about, you know what? There's two more factors that are very important. I have to be with an organization that's at least 100 million in revenue or up. I can't deal with the mom and pops. You know, it's very important to me that, you know, my friends see commercials of the company that I work for, and I want the perks. And okay, so that's what we put in. So if the company's revenues are 100 million and under, they're off the list. And another thing is, I want to make sure I'm with a growing company. Now, somebody might be on the other end of that. Someone might say, I love the challenge of going in with something that's just floundering, fix it, and then I'm the turnaround guy. So again, this is no right or wrong answer, but this is where you guys have to know yourselves. But looking at those two factors, adding on, we went from 13,000 to 10. Now at 10 companies, that's a gold mine. That's a gold mine because now we jump onto our LinkedIn page, we figure out who do we know there, we start following those companies, we start going to those companies and signing up for their job alerts, we make sure that those companies' news articles and updates are being emailed to us. And we want to see, this isn't junk spam stuff, we want to see this stuff. Because these are the companies that are doing exactly what we want, exactly where we want, exactly in the space in culture that we want. We start to see other Morgan alums that are there. We start to see other people that we're connected to that are there. And it's not about, oh, I want a job. What we start to see is building relationships. There are people we're going to reach out to every 2 or 3 months and just say, hey, how you been? Semester's going great. Read that article. Congratulations on getting that thing done. So guess what? Those are the same people that when they see a role pop open, or when their colleague comes down and says, I'm trying to find somebody for this position, I just can't find anybody, they say, I know the right person. These are strategies. Just going on the job boards and looking and saying, woo, and posting, not a strategy. Some people win that way, it's not a strategy. This is a strategy. And again, I know we're over. So, that's where we are. As I said, you guys are going to get a link from me to answer those questions. If I'm being very honest, probably I'll be asking for some help and support from the grad assistants. We'll be going through and pulling your responses and going through the same exercises. So the idea is, and the reason that this has to happen again by, what did I say? By Tuesday at noon, is we'll need time to pull all of these together. There's 30 some odd individuals in this series. But the idea is when we come in on Friday, actually next Friday, well, here it is. Next Friday, what we will start to do, and this is just for next Friday, we'll be looking to do one-on-one sessions, which can be done Skype, which can be done live, which can be done phone. What is going to happen during those one-on-one sessions? I will be doing some, Mr. Wells will be doing some. More than likely, there'll be another 2 faculty members that may be doing some as well, depending upon how many we're all able to do. But the idea is between Tuesday and the time that you get your responses back, whether it be 10 companies, 15 companies, 50 companies, a one-on-one, at least 30-minute conversation where you will have your assessment, complete full assessment, you will have your criteria list, or the responses that you sent in to the survey I'm going to send out, and you'll have those list of companies, your company target list. And the idea is to make sure in a one-on-one session that everything links and that you all understand all of these aspects. We don't want someone that may not understand exactly what the assessment means, or someone that, was there a question? Was there a question? Okay, so again, there's that one-on-one time. But again, that's just for next week. Any questions on that?
Yes, are any of the sessions going to be in class? Or just,
All of the sessions will be in class with the exception of 2. And there are only 2 that are required to be live. That is the actual career day for the university. And we will be doing April 21st, a master's career day, where we'll have about 8 of our corporate partners here in the building.
right, but I was actually talking about the one-on-one sessions.
Oh, the one-on-one sessions that will have to take place again from the time that you receive your company list through not the 17th through the 24th. So you guys have that 2-week window to schedule your 30 minutes, but it is on you. It's not on Mr. Fletcher or Mr. Wells or anyone to reach out. You all are required to set it up. And again, I'll let everybody know who you're to contact. Then you will schedule time with them. You will set it up with a calendar invite. You'll book 30 minutes on their calendar. You'll do it with ideally 2 days to 3 days lead time. When you come in, you'll be driving the conversation and laying out, here's what I want to do, here's why, here's what everything said, here's my logic, here's my thought process, here's what I've done.
And that can be like,
That can be Skype, that can be over the phone,
or office.
or it can be, yep, or it can be live. Any other questions on that? Again, I know we're over a little bit. The other thing I want to make sure, and I want to say thank you to everyone who has done it, please keep up with the high-low journals. They're there, and in situations like someone who has a career assessment that has retail management number 1, accounting number 2, and finance number 3, and initially they were thinking finance would be number 1, those high-low journal assessments will be something that coaches will jump into to really get a good feel for, here's what you enjoy personally, here's what has worked for you, here's what's motivated you, so if the majority of those over the last 2 weeks have a link to one of those particular areas, the light bulb goes off, and that's when the recommendation becomes, maybe start thinking down this path. Does that make sense? Yes.
I have a question, Professor. As I was going through the assessment, I saw that it's possible that after it's all over and I finish all of the tests and all that stuff, that I'm concerned that the list that I finally get is not going to present me with what I ultimately want to do. It's possible that it could be a second career choice or a third career choice because I'm so clear as to what it is I want to do.
Okay. And well, I think I know exactly where you're going because I responded to your intro discussion.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I just did it this morning. So it's fine. And we discussed last week that this career assessment tool, specifically career leaders, is segmented to business. So the thought process is, if you're in a master's program in business school, the business is where you want to go. Now, I know from reading your discussion board where that passion becomes, and when you get a chance, you'll see my question back to you.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting to see, once you finish the assessment, what the response is and where there might be synergies.
Okay.
I know how I would answer, but it's yours, you're the pilot. And you're very right. It could turn out that it becomes a second career. It could turn out where there's a creative, unique way of
Combining something.
there you go. Anytime. Other thoughts, concerns, criticisms? Is this helpful? By show of hands.
This was a powerful class.
I'm glad. Okay. I do appreciate it. Again, do not hesitate if you guys have questions to contact me. I do an enormous amount of emails and you're not bugging me, if you keep sending them or leaving messages, that sort of thing. I want to make sure that everybody is very clear on assignments and when they're due. I realize and respect that you all have other classes going on. You're just getting indoctrinated into the program, many of you. So I'm not trying to be overburdened, but I do want to make sure that each of these building block steps that we're taking, you all have something tangible and serious after each module. So again, you came into the first module with an assessment, probably didn't know what it meant. We went through it, we talked about it, you figured that piece out. Now today we talked through, here's the things that I want to make sure you know from the assessment, so take another look through it, be clear. Threw a lot out about company criteria, research and things that you need to do to understand where's the right place for you. And by Tuesday, you all are going to take the survey link and lay out your decisions. Then I'll take those responses through the tools that we talked about today. And for each of you, the idea is to go from 85 million down to roughly 10 companies. And we'll talk more on how we leverage those companies, now we focus on that list, in the future sessions. You'll start it next week with your one-on-ones with your coaches. And we will be back on the 24th, in class or using the same link. Thanks so much. Are there any questions? Have a wonderful weekend and happy Friday.